Hello and welcome to the skating lesson. I'm Jennifer Kirk.
And I'm Dave Lee. So we are on location in LA. Jenny is back in San Diego. I'm leaving tomorrow morning, but we wanted to touch base about Nebelhorn competitions in Canada and our trips this weekend. So we've been watching Nebelhorn. Jenny, what do you want to break down first?
Well, let's start with the men because we had a surprise winner here. Short program. Let's actually start with Max because he won the short program. Strong short program, strong outing. The jumps were definitely there, but again,
he did the quad triple, which
Tom talked about. Yeah, he talked about wanting Max to do that when we spoke to him last month in Colorado, but it just still seems, and we saw in the long, when he misses the quad, there aren't the transitions, and you see in the marks too, the judges really ding him there. I can see his posture's better, his spins look a little bit better, but it still seems like the in-between sections between the jumps, when he doesn't have those jumps, the program falls flat. And it just doesn't seem like his heart is in it. I think when he lands the jumps, he's such an athlete that it can kind of disguise some of the lack of like connection to the music or that performance quality because the jumps are so fantastic. But without those jumps, I don't know, it seems like something's a little bit missing, and I think that was reflected in the marks in the long program.
Yeah, I do want to give Max credit, though, because I think that I noticed that the crossovers were not manic, and they were not jerky, and they looked better.
There is something, though, that he does, and I talk about it. I call it with my students, it's a little, like, hockey step. So he'll do, and you watch it into his quad, he'll do, like, 2 great forward crossovers, and then he does this little thing where, like, his legs come together, like a little pump, and Tara Lipinski used to do it. So many skaters do it, and I think those are just the little areas. I'm sure it's unconscious, he doesn't even think about it, but those are the areas maybe to clean up.
You can tell that he's trying, and I wonder if he's thinking through that when he's skating, so that, he's now thinking about more things, and it looks like he made some mistakes in the long that he shouldn't have made. I think Max should have won this competition, especially after such a great short program. It didn't happen, but I think that there were areas of improvement, but it's not the skating skills. It almost looks like he's skimming the ice, he's not getting into his edges, and I think he really has to focus on that, maybe even more than the jumps, to really work on the skating, which he probably doesn't want to do. Max is an athlete. He's a jumper. It's probably a real pain in the ass for him to have to work on this stuff. And he probably hates it, but I think it would benefit him.
And I think we saw him working on it when we were in Colorado. You could tell he spent that first session doing the edges. And I think he has the ability, and Tom spoke about this as well, but when you put it together as a skater in the program, your mind automatically goes to the jumps. And even the run-throughs when we were there in Colorado.
But Tom's coaching is also about the jumps. I mean, when one thing is Tom is great at periodization and training, but when someone finishes their program, they immediately do laps, they immediately do sections, but you never see Tom focusing on the edges, on the spin positions. That's not where Tom's focus is. We spent a day and a half just watching Tom coach, and he's very, very good at many, many things. But when you see Raphael, you see Nadia, working on the edges with Ashley, even when she's warming up and kind of yelling at her. She's a stern woman. And working with the kids there on, the edges and stuff like that. And I think there needs to be more of a focus on that, especially with some of Tom's students.
Yeah, and I would say just in the program as well. But a strong short program. Surprise winner, though, Alaj, who it takes from Bruno, one of our favorite guys. We had fun with him in Montreal. And his jumps, just the landings, so effortless. Really got his consistency, because I remember I was in Detroit a couple years ago talking to Alyssa, and he was there, and it was just triple axel pop, triple axel fall. He just couldn't get that consistency together, and it really seems to have done a 180, looked really strong here. He's a really tall skater, which I think capitalizes. He has nice skating skills, edge quality, but I would like to see more transitions for him as well in the long program. That was his lowest PCS. Of the score. So I think that's one area. There's like a lot of arms, and he's given a little bit of face, a little bit of attitude, but if he could use more than just a crossover back outside 3, I think that would be.
Yeah, and I also think now that he has the consistency, hopefully he'll get the confidence, and especially now that he has this win, hopefully if he has another competition, so that he can start selling it. Because the one thing is he has such a unique look on the ice that you really just want him to give it 210% like Roheen Ward, because he has that unique look. He doesn't look like the other skaters. He has the long hair, he has the darker skin tone than other people. So he really, he really stands out, and he's a gorgeous guy. So I think if he just sells it a little bit more transitions, edge quality, because he does have choreography in there, but just give it and give the confidence and stand a little taller and more body projection, because I think he could really be someone to move up in the world.
Perhaps that will come now that he has the confidence of an international win. Sometimes you need to see yourself. We talk about it in the past. See yourself as that champion, and then you start to own it and skate like it. So hopefully he'll be able to do that for his Grand Prix. But our Russian Menshov. So we talked about last week, Dave, you talked about the karaoke music or picking this long program. This mashup was pause, and he's older than both of us, which you got to give him some credit for. He's 32. He's a Pisces like you. I mean, these are facts you need to know when you're talking about somebody skating. But, great air position. Nice to see him going for 3 quads in the long program. He lands very stiff-legged, though. The footwork, that was a moment. I mean, these Russians, they take the weirdest pieces of music, put them all together, and then just do a vampy footwork sequence for half the program. Bless, but it was great to see him.
I am blaming Worlds being in Boston for this problem this season. I don't know
American music, yeah.
So I think they think that this is what we like, and they want to appeal to the American audience, so they just use all of our favorite music together.
But it's the weirdest versions, and I don't know if it's they don't understand that you should, if you're going to do a vocal piece, I always say use the original. I mean, if you're going to do it, go the way it needs to be, but I mean, it's unique.
Maybe they don't have that in the karaoke bar there. Like maybe it's not, I'm not sure. But how about your boy Grant? How did you think that he looked?
Grant's a gorgeous skater. The Bring Him Home long program, he gives that emotion, just the jumps. It's always been with him, that opening quad toe. It's going to be a struggle there. It's going to be a struggle on the triple axel. The spins are gorgeous. The edges. I love his short program this season as well. But for someone like him, we talk about these penultimate skaters. You need to put it together. You have to have that consistency. And this is becoming kind of a theme at this point in his career. And I don't know. He's a gorgeous skater. What did you think about his performance?
It's interesting because you can tell that Grant loves the audience. He loves the spotlight. He
loves
skater.
To perform, yes.
Yeah, he loves to perform. He's a skater, He's a show pony. But sometimes it looks like he has that confidence, and then it's a little bit deer in the headlights. It's a little Ashley Wagner.
Yeah, I don't think he has. I think the problem is he doesn't have the confidence on the big jumps. So it comes across in the other parts of his skating where he could really be a Rudy Galindo and holding those edges and having a moment. But when you can tell his mind is on, shoot, I just missed that triple axel again, or I have this jump coming up that I'm not quite completely confident on.
Yeah, the interesting thing is I was talking to Peter Oppegaard before you got to the rink on Thursday, and he was telling me that Karen had texted him saying that Grant struggled on the quad that morning in practice, so they weren't sure how that was going to go, but they thought the rest, but it seems like the mistake on the quad happened, and then the rest of the program happened, and the competition happened that way, and that looks like maybe take it out, or?
Yeah, I would say maybe take it out. I don't know. Is he doing sectionals? He has a Grand Prix, correct? Skate Canada?
They're not sure. He's the alternate for all of the Grand Prix.
Okay. I thought he was given a...
He might have one Grand Prix. We'll have to fact check this. I know that
I think he was given Skate Canada, but I don't know for sure.
Yeah. Well, Tim Dolensky is replacing Josh.
Right.
Because Grant might have one Grand Prix, and they might give him like another Senior B or another. So I think
it would be interesting. I would say maybe just have 2 really strong skates, perhaps without that quad, and just go out there and get that confidence. But before we move on to the ladies, I just want to give a shout out to Florana Modio. That log program. I mean, you talk about using lyrics and getting into it and being theatrical. Whenever the audience claps for your choreography, when you're just standing in the middle of the ice, that means that you're doing something right. You have a moment. But still, his triple axel, he has the most bizarre technique. He waits on that forward edge for such a long time, kind of dragging that leg behind him before he takes off. But he's somebody that I want to watch him skate. I want him to do a one-man show on the ice, just doing some sort of a theatrical performance, because he's fantastic.
Yeah, I hope that he can get back to where he was in 2011, even the Olympic season in 2010. The crowd just loved him. He looked to be really involved. I know that he was acting a bit and maybe got out of his training intensity, but he's someone who, when he's in shape and doing well, the audience just really responds to. So he does have fun programs.
I like this long program, and
he's the right kind of French. Where he's just like a little much.
But he's artistic, and he's just a gorgeous skater. He's not, I don't think he needs the gimmicky, like you think about someone like Philippe Candeloro. He needed that showboatness to kind of add interest to his skating. Florana is just a gorgeous skater, and I liked his costume in the long program. He wore like skinny jeans, but they were purple. I don't know. I've never seen it. It looked very nice. But let's talk about the ladies because Caitlin Osmond.
I want to pause for 1 second. While we're talking about men, Patrick Chan competed in his short program this weekend. And I have to say, it was so Patrick. Like, people do not change, Jenny. That guy is never going to change on you.
Gorgeous. And then, he's not going to do the axle. And then I was talking about this. I actually said that I thought he was the one out of the two, him versus Hanyu, that would be able to do the lets. But in this performance, there was a little on the lets.
But of course, it's the most gorgeous program I think we've ever seen. I think his skating skills are better than they were before. It's like on another level. He gets out, a little mistake on the quad. He doesn't do the opening combo. And I'm like, oh, God, here we go. Double axle. I think he needs to get a jump coach pull him in at this point. I don't know what it's going to take, but he's so talented. I want to see him back at full strength. He's almost there. And I think it could be a really exciting competition between him and Hanyu. If we can see him get the triple axel back, it's going to be a white knuckler with Patrick. You just don't know how it's going to go, but he's so incredible.
He has the best skating skills, I think, of any man in the world, but Hanyu with the multiple quads and the triple axel that is so consistent season after season, I give Hanyu the edge at this point. And pause, Patrick, I'm not a huge fan of the Mr. Rogers look when you're wearing the sweater.
The costume can be better. It's very Ross Minor.
Yes, I was thinking that over last season. Maybe, I don't know if he doesn't have a costume yet, but maybe change it up a little bit.
The light blue, it's just not the sexiest for skating.
No,
Matt's
he
a nice.
Great. He looked great if he was going out on like a first date. I thought it was a great outfit, but maybe not.
To the library. What is to pin a girl? Like, this is not Bye Bye Birdie. I don't understand.
I don't understand. But the beautiful skating. Talking about Canadian skaters, though, Dave, let's discuss our girl, Caitlin Osmond. Now, she missed last season because she broke her foot. Came back.
A Canadian girl won Nebelhorn. Bless. We are going to hear about this the whole season.
Woo! Now she's a world contender for the medal rostrum. That's what's going to happen after this. But, there were some positives to her skating. The short program music.
She looks strong.
Yeah,
really back in shape and happy for her. Obviously, the injuries have been such a problem. And she delivered here with a decent ladies field. She did deliver. So.
Yes, it was a strong, long program.
Small mistakes on the jumps.
Yeah, the short program, I would say more than small mistakes when you double your combination and fall in the triple toe. But the one thing that I've said time after time with her skating that worries me is she's so fast, which is fantastic. Her jumps are huge, but it looks like she doesn't quite take a second to set herself before she does a jump. And Courtney Hicks does this as well. Like, they're skating, and they throw themselves into those flips or those letters. And we see this with Courtney, some of the mistakes on her letters, without taking a second to kind of think of their technique. And I don't know if they don't have a set technique that they do. They just seem to be natural jumpers. But I think you see with some of Caitlin's landings, she's so wide with the free leg or leaning back that it's kind of hit or miss with her in terms of the consistency. But a little bit of a Christina Jacco, too, with the one glove that she used. I like, though, that she used that in her choreography. Like, they obviously planned that hand was going to be showcased somehow. And she's such a performer. So that is definitely a strength in her skating.
And she's really back, I think, in the best shape maybe we've ever seen her in. I think physically she looks to be a real athlete. So I was definitely proud because she really has struggled with injuries the last 2 seasons and really almost didn't go to the Olympics. So just very, very happy for her to be back where she is. But let's talk about my girl, Courtney Hicks, Jenny, because I love Courtney Hicks. It's so wrong, it's right. I love her. They're trying to really class her up. They're really trying to feminize her.
I liked her short program
Courtney is a
costume.
bulldog.
Yeah.
Well, because it looks like Michelle Spartacus, and then Brad Griffiths just kind of like attacked her a little bit before she went on the ice.
Yeah, I thought that worked. And it matched her hair color perfectly, the red.
The hair looks really good on the ice. It softens her in a bit. She looks good with darker hair.
And I like the short program.
About the jump technique, I think, is interesting. She obviously worked with John Nix for many years. John Nix, a pair coach, obviously he wasn't really doing a lot of flips and lutzes. And you just wonder, I remember Naomi talked about that he can mentally convince you to do the jumps, but he's not the strongest technician. And I wonder if that's something in her skating that she doesn't have the technique from when she was younger to kind of pull her through.
She's such a circular jumper. The arms, everything is so swingy, but she has those natural jumping legs, and you see. Yes. But I've said it time after time. With Courtney, really, her money is going to be consistency. fantastic spins. Jerry does a great job with capitalizing on getting her levels. Fantastic donut spin. But I think with her, someone like Mariah is just a more aesthetically pleasing skater. Particularly, I like her long program this season. So if Courtney wants to break through, win a pewter medal, make that world team once and for all, put in the triple axel and don't fall on triple X's. Like she cannot fall. And she's another one of these skaters, we talked about it with Mariah last week, that needs to every single week, just every time you go out to compete, be really, really consistent.
Yeah, I think it's interesting what's going to happen with her throughout the season. She's definitely someone that's in it, and I see improvements in her skating. It looks like they found out that she has a really nice inside spread eagle, so it's in both programs.
A nice Ina Bauer, too, in the short program before.
They really have done a lot of work, and I really do appreciate it because our girl, Courtney Hicks would be a gymnast. She would definitely be a breastians girl. Like, she's an Allie Raisman. Like, she would have a horrible bar routine. She's just such an athlete, so gritty. She's a bit of a Tanya Harding. She's not that really... She's not Jenny Kirk on the ice.
Is she not the white princess? What did he say? The white swan?
She's not the princess. Yeah, not the white swan. She's just... They're really trying with her, so I
think that's what makes her so great, and I think the long program was a little bit of a...
How does anyone live in Los Angeles, Jenny? I am sweating like Whitney Houston here. I can't even handle it, people. I'm sorry.
It's hot in California, yeah.
Oh, my God. Okay. I am built for the Polish winter. I'm sorry, people. I'm sweating like Whitney on stage. Okay, continue.
Are you pitting out, Dave, please? But I was going to say, I think the short program, they really capitalize on the type of skater she is. The long program is a bit of a snooze. But
excuse me, the long program using the same music as our girl Alexa Semeka.
And that's the problem, because I think it fits Alexa. Alexa's more
of a... It's the soundtrack of the tacky and the unrefined. Okay, it is.
But it fits her, and I think with Courtney, maybe it's not quite a perfect fit, but there's potential there this season. Just land the jumps. Let's talk about our girl.
I would have her skate to Beloshazar and Trankov's music.
The Dracula?
Matt Huey thinks the Dracula, the second half, the one that NBC used in the fluff piece. Matt Huey thinks it would be good for Gracie as well. I could just see Courtney landing the jumps to that music.
She needs really fiery, strong music. Yeah, and to land the jumps. But talking about music, let's discuss Mariah, because a rough short program here. And when we were in Colorado, I didn't see her short program. She practiced her long. Or maybe I saw it, but I was taping somebody else. So when I was watching this on YouTube, I thought someone inserted this music, just as sometimes if there's a copyright claim, because it just is an odd, I don't know. She seems her demons. And I think Mariah, the great thing that I'm seeing about her skating this season, and we've talked about it in the past, that there was a lack of kind of emotion. It felt like she was a little bit dead on the ice. And I feel like she's connecting to her programs this season. The short program, she's telling a story. She really seems to be skating. I love the long program. She was given a little bit more face. I know you talked to her about that, or you talked to Tom.
I actually texted her today because I was so impressed. And I am not, I don't know, I think Mariah thinks that we don't like her because sometimes we've been critical in the past.
Yeah.
But I want her to do well, and I was impressed when we saw her in Colorado. I think that she's right on the verge of competing for that world team. She's close.
And she's
she's in the top 5 and it's close. She's one of those people. And I was really impressed the fact that she had a really rough short program. I don't think she believes in the triple axel at this point because I don't think she's really done it.
Do you think
cleanly.
They should keep it in there?
If it's going to affect her confidence, they need to pull it out. I know Tom wants it in for the numbers, but I think for so many skaters, I know myself being a perfectionist, and Adam Rapon said that Mariah is actually a perfectionist, and that's why she's not giving the face in competition.
Because she's so focused on those
She's
jumps.
so focused. And I just think for someone, I know that if I were to do a program and have to do a difficult element that I didn't believe in.
You had never really landed. Can you imagine going out to a short program and doing that?
It would just mess with me. You want the clean short, and maybe Mariah wants the clean short. Even if it's not worth the points, I think just psychologically, for a lot of people, if you fight that perfectionism, and you don't think your components are going to be as good when you have the fall, because of course it's such a, and you feel like, so I just think that it's really risky, and I think that maybe they should take it out. If she's not ready for it, keep working it every day. But if it's a battle where she feels like she doesn't believe in it in her heart, take it out. Let Mariah feel good, feel confident out there, because she feels good in the long, and she's starting to emote slowly. And I think as she gets more confidence, we're going to see more of it. I'm happy that the jumps were rotated. It looked like she was a little tilted on the double axel, triple toe,
She gets that when she gets that leg up, that free leg up, and that's the thing we talked about in the past. When her feet aren't close together, that's when it looks a little sketchy on that landing, even if she's backwards, because she's got to swing that leg around.
Yeah, and I think that's what happened. But the rest of the jumps, they're big, they're strong.
And she could skating, like she's owning her skating again, which is fantastic to see. It seems like she's starting to believe in herself. I think
that she was attacked by Brad Griffiths in the short program.
And okay, pause. We need to discuss two.
So I think we need to GoFundMe Alexa and Chris's blues for Mariah. I want her in different dresses.
I thought this is another thing. So she came out with the dress in the short program, and it looked very Egyptian. So that was part of the reason why I thought that the music wasn't her music, because I thought, okay, she's gonna do like a Cleopatra thing. The long, I don't think it's bad, but the bling goes way down to past her belly button. I think if they could just have that sweetheart neck and no bling like down her belly.
I don't know. In my mind, her long is like a
black. I think it's a black or a black, just like sparkly little thing, like just a little.
Maybe she could borrow Marissa Castelli's dress that Kirsten Moortowers is borrowing. Maybe we can just like ship this black dress around. I think Mariah would look really good in that. The one that has
maybe like a red lip.
The red lip, the silver down the back. So I think once Kirsten gets her short program, Marissa can ship that to Mariah. She can wear it. Or Mariah also has a really nice dress that she wore a couple years ago. It was like magenta and fun because she had like a big band short. I think 2013-ish.
That would work for it.
I think that could work as well. I think Mariah has some options. We don't need to pay for a new dress. We can make it work.
We have some within the skating community that we could lend her. But before we move on to pairs, talking about Marissa, all of our pair girls, let's quickly talk about Elena Leonova.
Again with the music choice.
Pause. And the costume. So she comes out, and I'm thinking she's wearing like plaid in her long program. I'm thinking, okay,
they're trying to femme her up. Let's be honest. That's what we're trying.
Like she's a schoolgirl. Like this was like the Elvis, because then she goes into some other, like it's a woman singing. I wrote it down on my phone somewhere. Summertime into Elvis into In Other Words.
Summertime,
but not the Frank Sinatra.
Jailhouse Rock, and sing, but there's something else in the middle there.
In other words, please be true. But it's not the Frank Sinatra. She gave good O to O. She fell on both her flips. I like that, the back-to-back falls.
She's really skinny.
But the dress, I don't understand the plaid skirt. I was thinking maybe it was like a Catholic schoolgirl thing.
So my favorite moment in the program is she blows a kiss into that triple flip and then kiss of death. I mean, come on. It was just...
You gotta give it to her for staying in. She did medal, thanks to some other women's mistakes.
Thanks to Mariah's short program, she medaled, so she can. Mariah can
hitting that. I mean,
send Mariah a muffin basket because that was blessed. But
let's discuss the pairs. I thought we were nice to her. We're always what was the last competition that we try people?
Russian nationals. I'm surprised that she kept skating. It looked like.
Yeah.
It just looked like done. I'm
always surprised when she's on the roster at an event.
It's like, oh, she's still. And I think she's only 24.
She does pleasantly well. She always comes in about the top 5 in her.
But only in the early events. Then the realness happens later on. Yeah.
She does the LA fade.
Yes.
Like Adam Rapon. He has a good interview, people. Okay, let's discuss the pairs because we saw the return of Voloshazar and Trankov. Pause, he forgot to pick her up after the split twist in the short program. The moment, though, is the clap. Her clap at the beginning of the short program, they're skating to the Bollywood music. She gives it a lot of sass. What did you think? Let's talk about the short first.
Their programs, I appreciate them, but they don't feel emotionally connected. There's a coldness there. And it might be Tatiana's fault because Max is Max. But she is a beautiful girl, but I want
giving it the short. She does a little.
You know what? They need more confidence and they need to be skating with more speed and more ice. And I think that short program will look better over time. But even their Olympic short, sometimes I thought the body movements were a little restrained. But sometimes it's the way they do their footwork. But am very impressed, but to me, they look like they're fighting for a bronze medal at this point, and I don't know if they are maxed out in terms of ability. It looks like the throw Lutz, they have a weird, it's a lot.
Like they're doing like a split twist, and then she travels across as opposed to up. Interesting
technique. I just don't know if they're working the quad, what quad they would do. Their Salchows are a little Max
And
Aaron.
then they're trying the double toe after, which they had some problems with in the long.
But I think the long has some really interesting, beautiful moments, beautiful pictures. It's just I don't feel it necessarily, but I think with them, I think it's going to take some competitions and confidence and time to come back. I think by the time we see them at NHK, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But I think they do look good, and you can see their refined quality when they skate. You understand why they're Olympic champion.
The way she carries herself. Alexa was talking about it, that she was trying to emulate her. I agree with exactly what you said, that it just seems like they lacked confidence in the short program. The little mistakes that they made.
Apparently, they were awful in practice doing the long, that some of the other competitors weren't even sure if they were going to skate the long program, and then they go out and they laid that down.
It was very good. Yeah, very good.
So I think if they can keep improving and building on this, their confidence will come back. I think a comeback, you're nervous. You're never sure. Can I do it again? It's like when you go back to school after being out of school for a couple times.
Yeah, you need that first kind of test. First couple
yeah.
tests to see, okay, I can still. But before we move on to Alexa and Chris, let's talk a little bit about Jillian and Bob, Megan and Eric, because they did their short program at an event this past weekend. What do you think about their Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, comparing the two, it's night and day. I mean,
the confidence is there. You know that.
She watched them. Yeah.
Keeping it real, I was texting with her. She definitely was watching. She was already working out the scores. She did not like that comment from Trenton Davis on our Facebook about that. Trenton Davis commented that they were scored like 6 points.
Parabens.
No, Diego Funes from Diego Funes Dance told me that it's parabens.
Parabens. Wait, what did Trenton say?
So he said something that their marks were like 6 points too high, and like Jillian was going to go off. Like
I don't think so. I think here's the thing. Obviously, Velocitar, they have nicer lines. Just the body type is nicer. Megan's a compact, strong woman. And they're athletes. They skate like athletes. I like the facial hair on Bob. But this short program, there's an excitement. They picked great music for them. The last two elements, I mean, it's bam, bam, the music ends. Like, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am.
I want Bob to smile. And I was texting him, like, is Bob okay? Is he happy? Bob has found love. Like, he's...
Oh, he found love. Oh, there's...
Yeah, but I think, Bob, he's just not a natural smiler.
Yeah, so, and I think that's okay. I don't think they need to smile. But you were all about Sui and Han's facial expressions. I mean, maybe they need to add a little bit of O to O. But the program comparing the two, back to my original question.
But if you're not a natural smiler, if it's going to creep us out, don't do it. But
don't do it O to O.
I was just making sure that Bob is good, Bob is kind, Bob is happy. He's skating very, very well, and I really like some of the moments in their short. I think that they're maximizing their style, and they're finding what works, and they're working the points. And then I got the text that I really did not want to get, Jenny.
Uh-oh.
Jillian goes, do you think we can beat Sui and Han? I was sweating, and not just from...
the LA heat.
Because that's going to be close. I mean, they have the Lutzes, obviously. Sui and Han have the program. Sui and Han can struggle. But overall, it's like that's going to be a tough competition.
I think definitely at this point versus the Russians, I give the edge to Canadians.
Yeah.
Chinese will have to see them under more of a
under pressure.
Yeah, competitive atmosphere.
They struggle with the side-by-side jumps. Yeah, so it's going to come down to how they skate.
And I think a lot of it will be momentum, too. Who does well in the Grand Prix? Who wins the Grand Prix final, then heading into Worlds? And last season, Jillian and Bob, they had that momentum. Let's discuss Alexa and Chris, though, because we're pleasantly surprised with some of the improvements they made. She struggled in the short program, was really disappointed with herself for missing that side-by-side jump.
What does she want us to say when it doesn't? Sucks for them, moving on.
Oh, is that what we're supposed to say? Okay, sucks for them, moving on.
But she was mad. I got a message from Alexis Sebeka. She was ticked at herself. She told me she was going to go have a moment in the shower. She hadn't missed a jump all week. She missed the Salchow and really missed it in the short program. But then Alexa did the skater thing that I can't stand. And you know what, Alexa, I'm going to call you out and you can get mad at me and that's fine. You know what? She did the thing where she's like, I'm sorry, people, I'm sweating, and not just from Alexa. It's really hot. She's like, I'm really happy with the improvements that we've made, and it's a really good start to the season.
So that to you or to the press?
No, she posted that on her Facebook. Just say that you're pissed, okay? You know that you could, or don't post it. But it's like, no, you're not happy, and I know that you're not happy. But you know what? She channeled it, and she killed it in the long program. Did double the toe, but there are a lot of improvements that they're making. They look so much better. And then I think now we have to focus on taking them to the next level. So I was thinking, because someone mentioned this to me and that they have no transitions in this free skate. That they need transitions, especially if they're going to compete with Sui and Han, Duhamel and Radford, have some choreography. They do have the long setups to some of their big throws, but they're doing quads. But I think that Alexa and Chris need some transitions, especially in the middle section. Mm-hmm. So if they don't have time to work with Julie, I think maybe they can work with Katarina, because I think Tom Dixon would like change the whole program, I think, in my mind, and they just it needs just some additions. It just needs a little add in, a couple transitions. The program is good, the music is good. I think we just need to put things, either maybe they took them out or put them in. And I think that we just need to spruce up a couple of the middle sections where they're just kind of stroking and not doing much. They could add some elements.
Yeah, I have a couple things to say. It's interesting. I think sometimes as an athlete, she was talking in her interview with us about how she missed the sow in the short program last season. And it seems like sometimes when you have that little glitch in your mind, even if you're skating so well in practice, I almost think it's good that she missed it here, because she's the type of girl who now she will never miss that the rest of this season. Like, on my mom's grave, like that girl is not going to miss that sow in her short program, because I think it's good. She's so focused. I think that was a little bit of still in her mind of missing it so many times last season.
She did say that they were more comfortable with the long than they were with the short. So I think the short is going to be more of a journey. Throughout the season.
Together. But when they start the long, one of the things I noticed is automatically you can see the difference in their skating. I mean, she has that posture, she has that backup. There are moments of this gorgeous Alexis, and then there's still some little moments where they'll do a transition, and I think she's worked really hard on pointing her toes, turning it out. Some of the lift positions
are better. She can still do it a little bit more.
Yeah, but it's in the in-betweens where they're just going to do some sort of, she does this little lift in the long where she kind of wraps herself around him, and the position, just the leg doesn't kind of get all the way up. Little things, and we're nitpicking on it because it's gotten better in the big picture.
Well, I think we're nitpicking now because, okay, they're in 7th.
Yeah, if you want to become top 5.
What is it going to take? And I think it's going to take those things. Raphael
I was going to say, Raphael was talking
every
about.
spot that you move up gets harder and harder and harder. And I was thinking, because I was looking at where they are, who's ahead of them, you take out a team, you put, 2 Russians back in, and it's going to take the details. It's going to take the transitions, everything, the added toe loops. It's just going to take everything. And they do have the potential to keep building and keep moving up. So hopefully they are encouraged by having a solid start to the season. I think they beat the teams they needed to beat here. Yes. None of us expected them to beat Volostar and Trankov. No. But I think moving forward,
they talk about wanting to make that Grand Prix final. And these are the little things where you want to present yourself as top 6, top 5 in the world, making that final. Let's talk really quickly about the French. Like their short program, I liked her she has the body of any skater. The long program did not care for the dress, didn't really care for the choreography except for the ending. I like the ending position. Strong skate for them, nice throw lats. I mean, it's better, it's good. The element to miss was that split twist in that short program. He had a little bit of an issue there. But overall, they look about what you would expect from them. I like them. They're both tall skaters, and I think that they use their lines very well.
I think he's fun on Instagram. So,
he's incredibly attractive. Like, woof! And that body, woof!
Yes. But I think that they skate, they have a certain limitation, I think, as a pair. I think they don't have top 3 potential, but they are a strong team to watch. Unfortunately, Julianne and Charlie really had a very rough free skate.
Yeah, he's struggling with the consistency on the jumps. It's funny.
And the lifts.
Yeah, and I don't care for some of her lift positions either in the long program. Their choreography is always very nice. This long program is very similar to their program last season. Except
for the music. The music.
You don't care for it as much?
Mid-Christian contemporary on like a family drama, but like a Canadian family drama from like the 90s. I was thinking it was very Saturday Night TV.
Kirsten and Michael, after seeing them.
So I watch me because there are 4 good teams in Canada. So you really watch and you try to pick them apart. It's going to come down to who can skate well. Obviously, Kirsten and Michael did a solid short in the competition that Duhamel and Radford were in. She did turn out of the loop with a throw, but again, I think that Kirsten and Michael, if they keep gaining confidence, they're in it. It's not a for sure. It's going to be at nationals. Which team is going to lay it down? And I think it's going to really be a tough battle, but they're in it. There's not like Julian and Charlie, they've shown glimpses of greatness in the past. This was obviously not their outing.
I think what was so great about them last season is they were kind of the underdogs in some respects. They were doing so well in the junior series, going into nationals. It was people expected them to perhaps win that spot, but wasn't a guarantee. And then they skated very well at Junior Worlds and again at Worlds. So they had that consistency, which we talk about with some of the U.S. ladies needing. And I think coming out here and not skating well at all and not medaling, this was a big ding for them.
And it could be a sophomore slump now. Their expectations based on how they
there's pressure.
And they also have their personal pressure where you made the world team last year. You expect yourself to make it, but you're also nervous because you know that there's a really good team on your heels.
Nipping at your butt. Yeah. Nipping at the bud? Nipping at...
I wouldn't want Kristen Moore-Towers.
No, she's a tough competitor. And I think that's good, though, because it's going to push both of them. But overall, a little bit disappointed. Let's talk about ice dance. I love Sexy Madison in the short dance. And you know what? Evan was giving me some sexy at the beginning of the free dance. He's caressing her a little bit. I really liked their short dance. The Twizzlers I thought were bam. The speed, they're skating like world champions, particularly with some of the top teams being injured at this point. It seems like perhaps...
Yeah, interesting, because you have Gabby Papadakis, who's off until November with a concussion. You have Caitlin Weaver. They're keeping it quiet, but she has a torn labrum in her shoulder. And then you have Worlds in Boston. So is Igor going to pull off the magic? I mean, it's set up that...
and I see him.
And they have choreographed deep edges in their free. Like, Madison has clearly been working on her edges.
But it's funny.
The miracle has not happened, but they have choreographed edges where he's pulling her and she's on
really
a deep edge.
But I thought it was funny because the thing with Madison, when you watch her, you can never really relax. And we saw this at the Grand Prix final last year. You always are like, is she going to fall? Is she going to trip him? And she trips a little bit at the beginning of the free dance. I mean, there's still those moments where you're like, she'll do something really gorgeous and then she'll show that perhaps she's not the most confident in her skating yet. But I like the programs. I thought they looked good.
And a really cool Twizzle addition they do when they go down, added feature between the Twizzles, because they don't cover the most ice, but I think that they added difficulty and they've added interest. They've really improved from last year to this year. The long program, I think that the free dance, Emily Tuttle doesn't agree with me, but I think the free dance is leaps and bounds better than what they did last season. So
they're showing that the skating can communicate is what they need. I think in the past they went a little gimmicky, and I didn't love the free dance last season. I thought it hurt them because it was kind of generic. It didn't really show her off that well. In the season before, it felt like they were never quite keeping up to the music. It seems
their
like
free dance last year reminded me of Alexa and Chris's long program. I hated it.
Yeah, it wasn't, and they kept changing the dress and I think this is good, and I just really like that short dance. I keep waiting for Sasha Cohen to come out, but I think it shows off their personality, but not in a kitschy way. It's a more mature way. They're skating like
and they do look like they have been working on their skating skills. I see improvement. Is it going to be world champion quality? We'll have to wait and see how they improve throughout the season. But I thought it was a really strong start and a great vision. I think for both programs, it's strong. It's strong.
Let's discuss the silver medalists, Alex and Mitch. They moved to Montreal. I liked their programs. The free dance, he had a little bit of a struggle on the opening lift. The costumes were well. I don't know if they haven't yet gotten her the free dance costume, but I thought she could use some sparkles. They're very smooth skaters. They're paired very well. I don't know what the heck I'm talking about, but as somebody
you're doing well.
I really tried, people. I told in an interview that I'm really trying to learn this season so that it's not just the fluffiness. I watched this multiple times, but I like their skating. What is it going to take for them to break through and a Piper Gillis? I mean, to beat someone like Piper Pop.
I mean, you have to have the magic program, the magic skating. And I mean, again, Piper and Paul have that interesting short dance this year.
Last season, too, with her eyeliner. I mean, these are more the fluff things that I like to focus on. But I mean, I mean,
it's fine. It's all part of it in ice dance. So I think you have to put in. But yeah, they are. It's going to be interesting. Those two teams have kind of volleyed back and forth before, so it's going to be an interesting rivalry to watch throughout the season. And I thought that the third place American team, I thought Susan Collin, I thought that they did a a good job here. One of the judges did give them a 4.75 in components, which I didn't think was, I thought it was a little harsh. I have to agree with Josh Kennan that it was a little harsh, but they're a nice team. I saw them in a show. They were Evening with Champions last weekend, and they do have a lot of nice qualities and promise. It's just a really tough field in American ice dance.
Yeah,
so
it's tough to break through. Congratulations to him. He got engaged 3 weeks ago. Yeah, I Instagram stalk people. I enjoy my skaters' Instagram. I try to find out more about you guys if I'm going to talk about you. I like them. I just think, and this is a great problem to have, the American ice dance field is so rich that I don't see them breaking that top 4, top 5. I think 5th place perhaps might be in their future, but we'll see. Fighting for that 5th place position. Let's discuss those. So we have been more TSL on the roading.
Yes.
We were at a couple rinks in California area the past 2 days. Overall impressions. We've been posting some practice video and we'll continue to do that, putting together our interviews. What do you think, Dave, watching these U.S. ladies compete, perform?
So I think anyone who saw Gracie do the 2 back-to-back long programs, it was impressive. I think that she looks very confident. And she was talking about how she did a summer event in Pasadena over the last weekend, and it did not go well. And she was like, this cannot happen. I have been training well, and I am going to work even harder. And she really was on a mission. When we saw her, and she definitely was like, the TSL is here, and I am going to be this. And I really appreciated that from her as an athlete. Ashley, she talked in her interview that they're going to re-choreograph her free skate. She needs to add those transitions in. They were not in when we saw her practice it. She has more in her short program, so they need to put them back in the free skate. I think they're doing it after the Japan Open. Ashley did a lot of shows this summer, and I think Rafael said she's still catching up with her endurance. I think she can do the jumps. We saw them cleanly. They weren't always cleanly in the run.
Putting it all together in that run.
Yeah, it's putting it all together with the transitions. I think Gracie's obviously ahead of her in the preparation for this year. But my moment of the week is that after Gracie skated, we went to Soul Cycle together in Beverly Hills. Gracie Gold is so on top of getting in like killer shape this year. She wore a sweatshirt for the first half of Soul Cycle, and you talk about a sweater, pouring. My towel fell, and I was having anxiety, and you see Gracie Gold in a sweater, like loving it, like on Gracie and Scott Dyer, bless, with this Soul Cycle class. I mean, the two of them are respect. But yes, I think we all need to be on Gracie's level this season. She is very focused on Boston, as you'll see in the interview that's upcoming.
Yeah, the thing I noticed, and I've noticed with Gracie, is she seems to practice very, very well. She's trained. She's going to be ready for these events. She did admit that last season was tough for her, particularly heading into 4 continents, getting herself back into that.
She wasn't practicing well last year.
Yeah, and I think that if Gracie skates well in Japan, I think this is her season in terms of the U.S. ladies, in terms of being that front runner to make it on the podium at Worlds of the U.S. women. She has a focus, and the way that she talks about it, it seems like she's really in that good mindset that she was in 2014 heading into nationals. I think Ashley is a fantastic skater, fantastic athlete. I think she probably needs another month of hard training until she's really in that peak competitive shape in terms of getting through her run-throughs. But the thing is, I don't think she's as naturally talented as someone like Gracie, just watching the two of them practice, but she is a performer. And if you're going to put your money on somebody to put it together under pressure when those lights are on, and Adam talked about a little bit too, that she would go out in the program that he choreographed for her and just turn it on. And he was like, who is this girl? I think it's such a fun dynamic to see the two of them, where Gracie, I think she's more studious and she's less
But she's getting into the free skate.
She
you
loves
tell
her
that
program
she loves
this
it.
season. Yeah, and I think that'll be to see her come alive when she has that confidence. That's what I would love to see for her. For Ashley, I just love to see that consistency and getting these jumps. They're both phenomenal women. My moment of the week, though, was Mariah Nagassi's long program. I love this program. Maybe change the dress a little bit, get her that Marissa Castelli dress, but to see her back and having that confidence.
You have skated to that music, Jenny.
Her
It's
music?
a showgirl.
Oh, yeah. That's why I love it so much. I mean, Lana Del Rey can do no wrong in my mind. Perhaps maybe the free dance we saw last season of our favorite, I can't even, your guy.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. People, I'm exhausted. It's been a long day. But I love seeing her skate so well. So we want to know, what did you guys think of Nebelhorn Are you so excited to see our TSL on the road videos? Which interview are you most looking forward to? Leave us a comment below.
Yes, and as always, we want to remind you to wear your sweatshirt during SoulCycle so that you can hold it edge and look sexy.
Bye, guys.
Bye.